Okay, you are live. You got the word. So tonight's episode, the seller experience.
Hey guys,
Hi,
I'm Pete France.
Alicia Thomas.
Marcia Cephas with EXP Realty.
Hey guys.
Hi.
We are your local realtors, giving you a little update on a seller's experience.
Yes.
So I think I like the way I look this way better. I'm not liking this view right here, but I like this one right here. How y'all doing over there?
How you doing?
So today we will be talking about a seller's experience. Now, I don't know where they're going with this because this is not my topic. This is Alicia and Marcia's topic. So I'm going to be quiet today. You go. Sorry. All right, I'm sorry I left my juice.
So I'll open. So we want to talk about the process of the listing. We talk a lot about buyers. Of course, there's more buyers than sellers, it seems like almost all the time. But sometimes the market change, and then there's more sellers than there are buyers, and that's when house prices go down. However, if you want a successful listing, there are some things that a seller really should listen to their realtor when they tell them when in fact they want top dollar or have expectations that can be met but can't be met if the seller does not listen to their realtor. So one of the first things that have to happen when you want to sell your home is, you have your seller's consultation with your realtor. You can interview 3 realtors. A lot of times people really don't even know. Sometimes you just pick the person that feels good when you meet with them, but you want to have that consultation. You want to make sure you understand the compensation process, how long the listing lasts.
I'm just telling you, call all of them before you call me because I'm not going through all of that. I'm going to be the realtor. So it's when I show up, it's going to be done. So y'all, whoever is not confident.
So how would you do it? How do you do it? You showing up? I'm the seller. Hi, sir. I want to sell my home.
I'm selling your house. Now this is what we're gonna do.
Okay.
And that's how we're gonna do it.
Okay, thanks.
It's not up for discussion.
Where's the paper? So I can sign the paper.
Sign here now.
Okay, thank you.
That's how I do it. I mean, literally, like, people want direction. They want your expertise. They want to understand that you know what you're doing. And they want to understand that you know the products that are out there so that you can make sure you can screen buyers properly, so that you can screen the other agents properly. If they don't know what to do, you have to understand how to piggyback the deal so that you can get to the closing table. It is not 1, 2, 3, I open the door and then we go to closing. There is so much in between, and a lot of people lack the understanding, respect, or information that it takes to get to closing. So when a lot of people do for sale by owners, it's sometimes a little challenging because, and I've had this happen actually this past week with a for sale by owner, and he didn't have representation, and he listed with a brokerage, discount brokerage. I guess they didn't want to hear what I was talking about.
Where?
So I got off. So you know, start talking. They ain't want to hear nothing I said.
So no, they did. But go ahead, because you like this angle anyway.
I like
where
this
the people
angle
at?
right
Right, where
here.
the
The people over there. Sorry about y'all over there, but this view is amazing for me. So the bottom line is, when I deal with for sale by owners, a lot of times, like last week happened, and it was time for closing. He didn't understand his figures, his taxes. I had another, and I was on the buyer side, so I don't represent you. I have to look out for my buyer. But I did try to give him a blueprint of what he should expect and look forward for. I let another one of my agents, I kind of coached him on a few little viewpoints that he could give him, but I could not give him the information because I represent my client. And it is imperative that you have representation because his fees were completely wrong. He had to pay some additional taxes. There were some things that happened that she knocked my view off.
It's there. I'm gonna get it back.
But I'm gonna go right here. There was some absolute things that were not understood, and the reason why you have an agent is not because of the financial. So you end up spending more money when you think you're saving money as a for sale by owner when you don't have representation. Just in fees alone, you don't know what the title fee should be. You don't know what the underwriting fee. You don't know what the fees that you're transferring recordation taxes. How do you understand that when you're going into a transaction? If you're not an expert, if you're not doing this, how do you know what you're supposed to pay? So I would implore you to, saving money. You always don't get to do it if you try to. And the craziest thing is, we're going to get paid regardless, and we get paid 9 times out of 10 by the seller because you had to list the property. And that's one thing that he didn't understand. He said, they told me I only had to pay this percent, and it was a flat fee.
Is this the for sale by owner person?
This is the listing.
Okay.
It's with the for sale by owner, yes. And he wasn't explained that. He didn't understand it. He might have been explained it. He didn't understand it because when he came to the closing, he want to know how the additional charge for the buyers. Well, I actually asked him, did he have listing paperwork, and where was his listing paperwork? And the title person, verified that this is the amount that you agreed with them to pay. So it's really sad because you need to have an understanding about what you're doing, even if you're a for sale by owner, so that you're able to carry out your transaction professionally first, so that you don't lose more money for 2, and for 3, so that you have you're doing business with integrity. I mean, the bottom line, you can't cut corners to make things work out for you. It doesn't ever work out. I'm sorry.
No, you're okay. Absolutely. Just to piggyback off of what Keith just spoke about, even clients that's not for sale by owners that we represent on the other side or the listing side, as agents, we want to combat some of those things by having multiple conversations, by putting things in writing. Things do happen along the way. So as agents, it's our duty to educate. And oftentimes sellers, as buyers, they don't always understand. I have a seller now that I've had to, have multiple conversations about multiple things along the way, although it's been a pretty smooth transaction, but it's also a learning curve for her, and she just doesn't understand. So it's our duty to make sure that the client understands. Put it in writing, follow it up with not only a phone call, but some things may need to be followed up with a text. Some things get followed up with an email. A text is not always appropriate for every situation. We want to make sure that as I call it, our legalese is in place. Because just as Pete spoke about, by the time the for sale by owner got to the table, he was completely confused on what he signed. And if the agent who initially took the agreement did not have the proper documentation, that could have completely gone the opposite direction. So we always want to make sure that everything is in writing. And as sellers and as buyers, if you all do not understand, please ask. The agents, whether they represent you from the buy side or the sell side, will step up to help you. I just dealt with a very sticky transaction, and I actually went to my client's house, sat in her house at her computer to help her with some things that had to be done. Because in that moment, it wasn't just a transaction, it became very personal. And it was things that she just did not understand. So as an agent, I had to stand up, step in the fold, and help her get the documentation. I had to help her get her taxes pulled. She didn't understand. So we don't always have a line. We have a legal line, but we don't always have a duty as to where our duty stops sometimes, unless it's going to cross that legal line.
I want to go back to the paperwork though, because that's one of the things that I try my best not to get tripped up on, is the listing agreement. I tell everybody when I take a listing, the same thing I tell them when I take a buyer's agreement. I want you to look at everything that's been filled in if you don't read anything else. If there was a blank line and there's something written on that blank line, I need you to read what's on that blank line, because that's where the confusion lies, on where something's filled in. The compensation to the broker is filled in. How long we work together is filled in.
And we don't want to lose our license over one
That's
transaction.
right. That's right.
Like, we are licensed to do this business. I'm going to tell a story. I wasn't going to say it, but I'm going to say it today to help somebody. But we also need to talk about as is. A lot of sellers think that they can avoid putting out money and say, I don't want to do anything. I just want to as is sale. Well, I'm going to say this. You end up paying more even with the as is. You're not going to get, this is the thing. If you don't feel comfortable selling your house, I'm not saying you can't sell a house as is, but in the state of Maryland, if you have a loan, you're really not selling a house as is because the loan is going to require certain things to be done. And then if you want to sell your house to the pool of people that can pay the real money for your house, or you want to be with the investors and let them pay you whatever they want to pay you, you have a choice. But sometimes the money isn't worth, the amount of money you lose is not worth it when you try to list your house as is. Let me tell you, I have told my mother, she's in this business, she's done several properties, okay? And I literally told my mother, like, stop giving away the money. Like, and try not to pay. Like, it doesn't make sense. You give away all this money, and let me tell you where you're gonna end up paying. Taxes. You're gonna pay it in taxes. Because it's extra income earned, for one. And then 9 times out of 10, if you're selling something of substantial value, you're going to have capital gains tax. So it is imperative that you understand what you're selling, how much, and what your liabilities are. Because actually, some of the fees and things help offset your taxes so you don't get that big bill at the end of the year. And you need to understand that and as is, when you put money back into the property that you're selling, offset certain things. I'm not a tax person. I just know from experience. And I've been doing it a long time.
So if you're listening, pay attention to the listing agreement. Now we want to go into who's like the expert with staging. I pretty much try not to have my sellers spend money on too much of anything. Yeah, so if you don't have to stage, I don't.
I'm going to say something. And I'm the same. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say my rule of thumb for staging, or may recommend it, if it's a house that may be oddly shaped, a house that you just cannot visualize with how furniture may lie.
That means smaller
rooms. Rooms where the house had potential, it's just built a little odd. So that's when I would recommend staging. I'm sorry?
An odd house is the ones that I've seen recently with really no dining room.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a living room.
Or the kitchen's in the basement.
A table against the wall in the kitchen, but you do not have an
official dining room.
I just had this conversation with one of my sellers. House was a total rehab, looks absolutely gorgeous. And someone was in her ear, you need to get a stage, you need to get a stage. And I'm like, absolutely not. The house is absolutely gorgeous. It's like you can visualize everything. And I actually had an agent come to my open house last week. You need to get this stage. Why?
So I teeter the fence. It depends on the product that I'm selling. 9 times out of 10, and I have nothing. I love staging. If it needs to be staged or something, I will try to work with the client to stage with them, or then I'll try to. I do believe in staging. Mm-hmm. I believe the houses sell faster. They do appear to be better. They do well. I do recommend my new renovations to be staged, because that is what is out here, and because we're competing against other renovations. Mm-hmm. So I need to make sure that I'm competitive to the market place in which, we are competing against. If we have 5 houses in one neighborhood and all of the houses are renovations, okay? Let's just say they're on the same block. There might be a fireplace, or that might be the difference. The floor plans are the same. So you need your curb appeal, you need some staging, you need to do something to stand out from the other 4. So that in that circumstance, stage it to the tens is in my opinion, but it's every situation is different. There's no magic golden bullet for a sale. I have a house that was I told my client, I'm gonna say this today. I have a listing that has been on the market for a long time.
Oh,
No,
360.
no, not that one. Because we had contracts
Why
on
you
that, but we
stage it?
couldn't sell it. It's a piece
I
of shit.
know.
It's an investment property. There's a difference. Like I sell everything from luxury to shelves, and I don't, But anyway,
As long as I can get a clear title, I'm gonna
as
sell
long as
Hey.
so the problem with this house is he renovated it, bought it from another investor, renovated it with no central air.
Mhm.
The house has been sitting, and I said, "Oh, we'll add it after." No, we will not, because they don't want it after. They want to move in their house. They don't want to wait until. Then when somebody buys, then we get low offers. No, you don't want to put the refrigerator because it might get, the refrigerator and stove must be in there for the appraisal.
Right.
So what are we waiting for? People cannot visually
Is he
see
a
it.
new investor?
No, they invest in another state,
Okay.
and it doesn't work the same here. And one market can be slightly different than another market. Our market, our people are visual. That's why most of our houses that are staged are selling faster, because our community, meaning not our demographic is in entire state. The way that things are done, it's a consistent pattern that if you're gonna rehab a house and this, that's what you do. If you're gonna sell a used house or standard house, as they say, sorry,
Resale house.
Resale
house.
you're gonna declutter. You're gonna remove the pictures off the wall. You're gonna remove the things that are,
All your little magazines.
you're gonna move all of the stuff that you're gonna declutter the place. Bottom line, you're gonna less is more in a sale.
Remove all of the things.
So, I literally was gonna give the listing away. Actually, you couldn't even sell it on auction,
All
and
these
it's a
basic-
beautiful house.
So wait,
There's
so
no
when
air.
people were, but when
Oh.
I'm certain when they were offering him less, they were offering him a HVAC system less.
No,
Because you got to go all up. In
No,
the ceiling,
that's
you
the
got to take
difference.
away the drywall.
they don't care. Let's just say the house is 169. Let's just say,
Mhm.
hypothetically, we're not talking about that house. It's not that price. Disclaimer. Okay. But let's just say the house is 169. They would offer us 129.
Okay, but HVAC is not for
HVAC is not 40,000, but that's the kind of, and when you get desperate as a seller, you get in a place that you might have to take that because you've been sitting on paying a mortgage every month, holding costs every month, and you don't have any other way. So, I mean, absolutely, it is an inconvenience, but please listen to your realtors. Now they want to listen. Now they're adding it, they're doing this, and I said do that, and they did that. But it's a year later. Like, it's like you hurt yourself.
I'm not listening to your agent.
Yeah, I mean, and yeah, I'm gonna leave that alone.
So let me ask you a question, right? Because I'm listening to everything that we're talking about. And you talked about discount brokerages.
That's a good topic.
And I have, yeah, because I've actually experienced some of them, or some sellers that had tried them, and it didn't work. Now I'm certain it works sometimes because they wouldn't still exist.
So,
For
do you
staging?
understand the basics?
No,
of-
discount
No,
brokerage.
discount
Oh, discount
brokerage.
brokerage. Okay.
So, discount brokerage. If you're not aware or familiar, I don't want to say their names. But
You don't
like
have to say their name. You probably can say
let's-
how it works.
Okay. How it works is you pay like $9.99. They get you by saying, "Oh, 1% selling fee complete. You're done." And that's a complete misnomer. That doesn't work. But what happens is you pay a flat fee. Let's just say for lack of a better word, $7.95 to put your house on the MLS. That's all they do. That's it. They done. They got their $7.95. They move on. They don't review your contract. They
Right,
don't
they
do
put
that.
it in the remarks.
They put it in there. Send to seller. Send directly to seller. Don't call agent for nothing. Don't call agent. Don't call broker. You're supposed to call the broker if there's an issue. So that's wrong too. So they they do it for a flat fee, and you go to closing. Now, to review your HUD, you probably have to hire an attorney. You don't, I don't know.
Contract to sale.
Con-
Legal
have-
document you're binding yourself to.
So here's the thing: who's helping you sign the contract?
Or telling you what
Do
you
you
agreed
understand?
to.
Do you agree? Maybe you were paying half the transfers, and now you're paying all of them. Do you know that? Do you know where your recordation taxes are? Do you know how much you're paying? You know, do you know that if you're out of state, I had this one 2 weeks ago. Out of country buyer.
Out of state transfer tax.
I mean, out of country seller.
What is it, purple? It's a law with that.
Two different out of country sellers from two different countries on the same property. Tell me how that went.
Mm.
And their agent never said that there's a Maryland state tax for those out of state
I mean, sellers.
per.
Mhm.
So if you are in Canada,
Mhm.
okay, and you have another one in Africa, and your
it's on the
proceeds are
contract.
this,
Mhm.
boom, boom.
Mhm.
Two different people, two different places, two different taxes. So I mean, literally, they might as well have kept the house.
Especially when they did not know. Again, that's that whole review in the paperwork. Back to that listing agreement and compensation where things are filled in. That tax is on the contract of sale. It talks about that tax for out-of-state sellers. There's actually a standalone document, I believe, too, addendum that actually spells that out again, that your realtor would know to provide you with.
And some realtors don't pull it.
But they are not us. They're not.
Yeah, I mean,
They're not
you have to be knowledgeable in every area. Like honestly, if you're buying a foreclosure from a bank and the seller is the bank, now let's talk about the bank being a
REOs.
seller, a REO, and you have a loan, and the bank says you go conventional or don't get the house. Now you didn't already went up to the top of the price because the mountain is the only place that you can play when it's low inventory. So you're playing at the mountaintop. You playing at the top of your price point. That's first. And then you do your home inspection. They allow you to still do your home inspection. And you find out that there is a leak in the ceiling and maybe some foundational somethings and some other stuff. And the bank says, because I've been in these, and I've been on both sides. I represented the bank and I've also represented the buyer. But before the buyer put a contract, I am very clear. You might have to go conventional. I see evidence of this. I see evidence of that. This is ABC expectation. I set it at a high level because your deal could change at any time dealing with foreclosure. Like literally, there could be a storm and water starts leaking in the bay. Now they will do certain things to preserve the property during the time that they own that property.
Correct.
But anything in addition to that has already been pre-existing, such as mold, that's a whole nother animal. And I mean, and I disclosed on one of those. And there are ways that you have to do it because you can't go in there and do nothing. You can't get permission. If you don't have a 203K, you can't do nothing. And you got to qualify with the appraisal. The appraisal said the mold must be remediated. The bank said no. What do? You're stuck.
Right? So you're going to remediate it.
And how you going to remediate? You can't. You have no rights to that property until after you own it. Unless you do a 203K. I don't know where these bugs is coming from, but a 203K, which allows you to do work after you close. They put money in the escrow, and there are two different kinds. There are 203K streamline, and there's a 203K full. It's a full 203K. So that's a whole nother day. We can go over 203Ks at another time. But that is a home purchase that you would be able to purchase with work. But here's the caveat. Understand this, people that don't have a lot of money. You can't use grants because the grant stipulation that there is no outstanding repairs in most of them. they stipulate that they must be remediated, all repairs that are on the home inspection. So you do not qualify that 7,500, that office next door, that sometimes those work because they take you a different way. But let's just say traditional FHA loans, you're not gonna get through it. I'm sorry.
No, you're doing fine.
I'm sorry, y'all. I get on my rant.
No. You need to stick right on that rant.
So I mean, you gotta understand what you're doing. That is the bottom line. If you walk in a house and you gotta have it because of the location, understand your plan A and your plan B.
So I have a question for my guest here.
Alicia.
So let's just say you have your property on the market, it's active, it's live. At first I'll say, if I get a very good offer on a property that I have listed, I believe a bird in the hand beats two in the bush. And some of these agents out here are living foul. But anyhow, so when you have a property on the market and you get an acceptable offer, let's just say the first day that you went live. Like how do you share that with your seller, and then what do you recommend should happen?
Well, I always present offers as I get them. I do not hold them. So if it's an acceptable offer and it's the first day, some want to move forward and they may not. But what I will do is tell, and I actually just had this scenario a couple months back. I won't get into the backstory because it was kind of ugly how the buyer did it, because he was the neighbor, let's put it that way. So we received the offer literally not even an hour of me putting it in the MLS. And I made it clear to the agent that I was not accepting the offer for at least 3 days, because it was not fair once I figured out what they had done. Let's put it that way. And so I held it. So I know.
Now, do we have a right to do that?
Yeah, well,
because they
so-
would, let me
Yes.
back up. My seller was well aware. She did not want to take the first offer.
Okay.
She wanted to hold it for at least 2 to 3 days.
Okay, so she
Yeah.
made
But-
that
She
call.
made
You
that
might
call.
have recommended it, but she made the call.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And we have another agent that I'm covering while he's on vacation, and he too just went through the same thing. They
that
had
is true.
quite a few offers in hand.
You gotta let all the offers come in,
Correct.
you guys. So that's
And
a whole
he
nother
did
thing.
as well. He presented them as he received them. And the sellers did not want to accept any offers until after the open house this past weekend. And so they updated the MLS that all offers was due by Sunday at noon. And that's when they accepted offers. So
Okay.
yes, everything is totally up to the sellers. We do not make those decisions as agents on our own, or shall I say we should not. But as an agent, I always present as I receive them. And I never, ever in my career just hold an offer. I let my sellers make that decision on what
Can
they
I say
want
something
to
to new
do.
agents?
Mm-hmm.
New agents. So literally, this part, and we do know the new agents do follow us and look at these things. So new agents, that means not at 4:00, at 6:30, at 10 o'clock you send over. No, you can collect the offers because you know they're coming in, and at the end of the night you can send them all at one time. That is what she is talking about, because we're not talking about at 4:30 she sent an offer, at 7:30 she sent an offer, and I'm just cut it real clear to people, because they just sometimes misunderstand. Even these mentees, like, they really don't get it. And I want to say something to mentees.
Mm-hmm.
It is imperative, if you're being mentored, to refer to your agent in every sense of the word. Refer to them for everything that you don't understand. I do have a young lady that I work closely with, and she's mentoring someone, and literally, do not do terms on your own and add increases and bumps in prices. Please, agents, because sometimes you're gonna over offer for outside of the appraisal contingency amount. There are so many different things that you could do that are gonna put you in a legal liability position if your client really didn't understand, and they can always claim that they didn't understand, especially when you're new in the business. So please pay attention to what you're doing and do ask. Don't just do because your client gave a suggestion of what her cousin or aunt did. You're different. Every transaction is different, and your deal might not do what theirs did because of the location and the wherewithal of her loan.
So I want to say something back to sellers because sometimes, sometimes sellers can, especially if they have a beautiful home and a lot of offers are coming in. It's easy to get excited and it's easy to,
Get arrogant.
believe exactly that, all these offers coming in, I can decide, I can do what I want, I can take as long as I want to make a decision.
That's disrespectful.
Well, I had something like that happen with a seller of mine who did have a desirable home at a desirable location, and the offers were rolling in. And for some apparent reason, they wanted to wait for something bigger. One more day, let's wait for something bigger.
You will
And
withdraw.
Like almost every hour, people were pulling back their offer. Every hour, we ended up with 2 offers, which we considered to be 1 and 2. Now, mind you, this is the bird in the hand scenario that extended out like 6 days for no apparent reason. So we got the bird in the hand and we got another. The second one backs out. We go back to the bird in the hand and say, we want you, we're gonna take yours. Guess what the bird in the hand said?
Y'all took too long.
Y'all took too long. I'd have found something else I'd like to put an offer in. We did not have nothing.
See?
We went from multiples to nothing. I was livid.
Don't be greedy.
I was livid because we did not have to be in this place. And
I'm not letting you do. What happened?
And we didn't have to be there. And we ended up there. It was a hot mess.
Oh well, I'm different. I'm not doing it. Ain't doing it. Ain't you find
no
a realtor. I'm not doing that. I'm gonna tell you, Klein, Mr. Klein, Miss Klein.
That's one of the ones you show up at their front door.
I'm not doing it.
Look at here. We not doing this today.
I'm gonna say this. Y'all got a lot of offers. That's nice. We're gonna take an offer on Thursday at 5:00. So when we don't have by 5:00 on Thursday, we ain't taking it because I got one withdrawal, and that showed me they was tired of waiting, and that was already 2 days. We're gonna cut this off on Thursday. It's in your best interest. Like you don't see it. You're excited about getting your house under contract, and then you end up with nothing. And just think, if I wrote another contract contingent on your house selling.
Let me tell you about the bird in the hand. The sellers actually told the bird in the hand what they wanted, and he gave it to them.
See?
And they still said, "Let's wait and see what else comes."
Oh, that's the
like,
problem.
See?
So don't do that, sellers. Please don't do that. It could be harmful to you, and of course, most of the time, the blame gets shifted to the agent. But it can be harmful to you. You don't have to play that game. If you know what you want, and you know it'll net you what you want to be, what you want to net. And again, your house has to appraise. Please, please, please don't play too many games with your realtor, because you can really get harmed playing games. And then your listing looks stale, and people think something's wrong with your house.
And sometimes it is.
Well, yeah.
I mean, let's be real. Y'all know that toilet wasn't flushing right, and y'all didn't tell us. And then oh, really? Y'all are so surprised. Y'all been living there 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
That toilet ain't just start messing up and backing up into the sink. I mean, be honest with your realtor so they can at least.
Disclosure disclaimer. Why are you talking about things?
Well, disclosure disclaimer. I'm not talking about it.
I am.
I'm gonna make you fill it out.
Me too. That's what I'm talking about.
Some people say sign here. No. How long you been there? Okay. Please take your time and fill this out the best you understand. Because it's material fact. If you know some things, you have to put it on there. And it doesn't matter how bad or how good it is. Just be honest with it, because they're going to find out. They're having a home inspection. Don't you think you want to be frank and upfront? You might have the solution to the problem that might be an inexpensive fix. So, I mean, I think it's very important to do that.
And I've had people disclose things, and my buyer still made off. just because you disclose, you know, deficiencies within your home, unless it's something significant that would cause financial damage or unlivable conditions for the buyers, for the most part, they will read through that disclosure disclaimer. I make sure I point things out if I see it. If they still want to move forward, they do. So please don't hide from that disclosure disclaimer. So speaking about other things on the listing agreement, so one of the other things that I have not faced, thank goodness, have either of you ever listed a property with a tenant, not the owner, a tenant?
Yeah, they won't move. Yeah, I did that too.
But I want to get in there. I want to get in there.
I didn't.
This day, this time.
You said I'm the listing agent. Who am I?
The listing agent.
Okay, you want to know how I handle that?
Yeah, because I want to see this house.
So I got a house that I'm going to do, and I've been working with the tenant as well, and the parents live in Vegas. So I mean the owners. So what I do normally when I take the listing is I tell the owner to make a hot referral, meaning I need them to be on the phone so we can all talk together if they're not in town. What I did get done this time is I set up a meeting a month before we were going to go live for the owner to come to Baltimore and us meet at the house and walk the house and make the client. Then I make friends with the tenant so that I can help them find something else or figure out what's next. Sometimes they end up buying. They just don't want that house. Sometimes, and in this circumstance, it's been okay, but the house really needs to be decluttered.
Absolutely.
To take people in. So then I just make up, I ask them for their best times that they're able to show the home. I ask them for convenience for them, and I let them know that I'm going to handle them personally. I don't do too much showing time and all that. I let the agents call me directly. I then call the tenants. I talk to them, see what's working for them or not. Because you have to handle this with white gloves.
Yeah.
You have to really care about these people. 9 times out of 10, they have low credit score, or I'm not going to say that. I can't say that.
They just don't want people in the house.
They
while
might
they
not
live
be.
there.
No,
That's what I find.
Well,
don't
they
want
might can't
strangers
even
walking
get.
through while they live there.
They're being uprooted.
Right.
Bottom line, in their opinion. And sometimes they're ready, and sometimes they've been great tenants, and other times they've been the worst tenants.
Like I've gone to I showed one property that had a tenant in place. The listing agent assured us that, we were good, the time was good, the tenant was waiting for us, whatever. We get there, every bedroom door shut. Somebody in every one of them, somebody playing the game in one of them.
I was the one that was having sex.
I didn't.
And let me come through the house.
But this was the crazy part. They let me come through the house, but my
or answer the doors naked.
My buyers couldn't
How about that one?
any of the
Being
bedrooms.
smart. Oh, we go through it. So let me tell you this. So I have been I went in a house that was listed that somebody passed. It has been some crazy stuff, but here's the thing. I believe when you're dealing with the tenants, you just have to be careful and be honest with them and help them understand you're not against them. Bottom line, just work with them, be sensitive to them. And even the seller is like, sell my house. I don't care what's going on with them. It's my house. No, but they have rights. And we do have to, be considerate of their rights. So I would say, but what I am going to say, if you have a tenant there that you've been having challenges with, tenant hold it over. Immediately once you put it on the market, when you sign listing paperwork, tenant hold it over. You need to file that, because if you do not, and you wait until you get a contract 60 to 90 days later, baby, you're going to start that paperwork then and wait another 60 to 90, you're going to lose your buyer. So tenant hold over. If you need to know how to do one, just give me a call. Okay. My staff is very well aware. We sell houses with irate tenants. That's just something we do.
Give those the feet. If you have a home that's vacant, give those. If you have one that somebody lives in, holla at your girl.
Girls.
Girls, right? Because I'm not playing with the feet. The feet be crazy.
I work with anybody,
Go
but
ahead, so they can
you know,
stand
it
up.
just depends. No,
Boyfriend come out with
I don't
the-
deal with
the
that.
steel.
Oh, I got steel too. Smith and my friend Wesson. How about them? They go with me. Smith and Wesson. But anyway,
So I'm going to do a class on conceal too. I'm just
Oh,
partnering
yeah.
with a guy, so
Mhm.
that's coming.
Oh,
Waiting on
Very
the
nice.
I can give you a date.
date. Waiting on the date.
So all right. So then I feel like, not that I'm wrapping it up, 'cause I'm not. So Alicia, if you had to like tell everybody what an ideal, listing would be for you, like whatever, however, what the seller can do to make it great.
The ideal listing is not even so much as what the property looks like. My ideal listing is a seller that's
Look here.
willing to listen. And I don't say listen as in adults or kids, but they're willing to have those hard conversations. They are willing to consider what will it take to sell their house. I love a seller that's willing to understand the good and the bad for selling their home. They understand, okay, I know my house is old and the closet space is not that great. So I understand if a buyer comes in and say, okay, I love the house, but the closet space is not too much. The kitchen is not that great. And yet they're not asking for top dollar when they understand their house is, I'm gonna say subpar, because they haven't done any work, they haven't done any upgrades. So to me, just like Pete, if I can get a clear title, I will sell it. It does not matter. I'll keep, as they say, tennis shoes, boots, it doesn't matter, I'm going in. But I love a seller that will communicate. I love a seller that understands that this is business. I love a seller that understands that we're gonna have to have hard conversations about price. We will have to have hard conversations about feedback that's given, hard conversations about deadlines and timelines, because once we go into contract, it's no longer your own. You can't just move when you feel like it. I will send a text message quick. Can you check your email? Email been sitting there for 5 hours now. And I know you didn't got a break some point throughout the day. And I do that because the moment we sign that listing agreement, I automatically set expectations. We're ready to go under contract. This is what's about to happen. Everybody has timelines and deadlines, from myself, the title company, down to the listing side, down to the buyer side, down to the mortgage lenders. We all have timelines. So waiting 2, 3, 4 days to answer.
I just had that happen
Yeah,
this week.
to answer email is
And 'cause you-
absolutely unacceptable, and I will blow your phone completely off the hook
I'm not blowing your phone up,
until you answer.
but the least you're gonna blow your
Yeah,
phone
I'm gonna
up.
blow your phone
She
up.
gonna
I'm
blow it up.
gonna text. I'm gonna send you emails.
I had a man because he couldn't settle at a certain time. Now he was buying another house.
Mhm,
He caused the delay,
mhm.
and then he said, "Well, that was their problem. That was their problem. I told them I couldn't settle in my paperwork until I sold my house."
Oh, well, he should have had.
But here's the thing: we gave specific, explained. So this client was not too happy with me, but it's okay because I'm going to tell you the legal way that we have to do this, and it's okay. The client understood at the end of the day. He's going to tell me, "Well, I can't close today. They're going to just have to go tomorrow." Well, the loan expired, so if we go tomorrow, you won't have a buyer. How are we gonna do that? Well, I don't know what they're gonna do. I'm something years old. I don't have to drum to their beat and all that. Okay, don't drum to their beat and have to find another buyer tomorrow. So my client ended up closing late at night, thanks to the title company, because I was not going.
That was necessary, because those closing documents are dated, right?
Listen.
Don't till tomorrow.
The buyer signed. They were supposed to sign in the morning. The seller didn't want to sign until he felt like he could get there. And you guys have to be sensitive that there are more people in this transaction than you.
Mm-hmm.
Not only are we in the transaction, I scheduled a 12 o'clock settlement, but I have to work tomorrow. I have other obligations and I have a schedule to keep with other people. Please be considerate that you're not the only one because I'm considerate about your time. But when you say you want to go see something or do something and I jump and I move things around and do, so at the end of your transaction, please try to be more flexible. It would be so great if you could be a little bit more flexible um, at the end of the transaction. Because either way, at the end of the day, you cannot close without the buyer.
Correct.
And you want to wait another 45 days? And not including finding a new buyer.
And don't forget too, again, those taxes, those different calculations are good through that day of settlement. So when you get your stacks of documents, they are dated for that day. You say tomorrow, all numbers have to be recalculated.
And your prorations changed up.
That's right.
Oh no! Oh, this was the funny part. Y'all try to get over on me. Now I didn't say who this was or who translated. Y'all try to get my fees increased by $200. Y'all didn't say no about no. You already extended from Friday to Monday, sir. Those days are accounted for.
Exactly.
Every day costs money.
Right.
And when we're recording and transferring and all of that, it's based on a date. Those dates are calculated with your water, your taxes, your everything, your escrows, everything. So if you have an increase and you caused it, you can't ask the buyer to pay it. You cannot. That's something you have to eat. And when you and you know what gets me the most? When you have a large sum of money that I don't know what you want to do with your money. I don't know how you spend your money. That's not my business. But you can't be a blessing to a new buyer that has been struggling and you know they putting it together. You know, you want me to be the blessing. And I will. And that's how God does. You know, he allows me to be a blessing so that I'm blessed again. That is principle number one. But you cannot be greedy because let me tell you, it will come back to you. I'm just giving the heart to heart of it because people don't talk about the real deal of transactions. And I'm not sugarcoating anything. I mean, somebody complained because my assistant that was dyslexic transposed one number. One number. That was corrected immediately. Where's your heart? Where's the compassion for people? I don't get it. Like, we're trying to take your house and steal it from you and defraud you because of that. That's not right. I'm not over no little house gonna give up a whole career. That doesn't make sense. I have family. I have a new boo. You know, I gotta take you home. Like anyway.
But anyway, so sellers, I will say this too. Alicia made a great point. Honestly, if you are really serious about selling your home, you should start packing as soon as you go under contract, if you ask me. And the reason I say that is because I had a buyer buy a beautiful home in Randallstown. Beautiful home. And the seller, for whatever reason, had not packed anything. And settlement was actually at the house.
Oh.
And the seller and a friend was trying to take couches, toys, all these different things, and they were setting them on the lawn.
Yep, just went through that
Now,
last week.
settlement had happened. This is how
Don't let me. I'm the
it got
buyer's
sad.
agent.
It got sad. It got sad. I was the buyer's agent.
I'll be
This
the
is how
buyer's agent.
sad-
They're gonna happen like that.
This
We're
is
gonna
how
get a
sad it is.
$5,000 check.
We should have got something. So this is how sad it was. The listing agent, because remember, settlement happened at the house. The listing agent is trying to help them put the stuff out on the front. Now, it is all kinds of furniture. It looked like an eviction. It tore down, raining like you couldn't believe on their stuff. He had a pickup truck to load the things on, but it was
So does that tell you the expectation was not set with them?
the listing agent, all he kept doing was apologizing profusely.
So what? I want to know, when did they think that the house transferred after they get their check?
I do not know, but it was the crazy. They were moving. If we had settlement at 4 p.m., they were still taking things out of my buyer's house now. Settlement's over.
That means you're about to own the house now.
Yep, and they still.
Did you give them a time? Did you give them a
She
fee?
said they would. No, we didn't give them a fee.
That was nice of you.
But they were done like 9:30 p.m.
Oh, nice. Well, if you leave, because if I'm the buyer's agent, I'm gonna say, are your clients prepared to move? Do they know that Because I asked the listing agent. I don't want nothing to go unchanged, undone. I'm gonna ask the listing agent. So are we cleared out for walkthrough?
Okay.
Because I needed to be broom swept.
No, because
And
you
if
gotta
not-
remember, walkthrough is so many days in advance, so they weren't
No,
necessarily out at walkthrough.
I don't do walkthroughs the days in advance from experience from me. Now, let me tell you why I do it the day. I don't even do it late that night no more. Let me tell you why. Because I've had a fire, a house burned down the night before for a settlement, and I also had a flood. So, and I had a bad
Wait,
flood.
when did you? But see, that's what I was about to say because I had a fire. That's why I stopped doing last day, or right at
Day
the
before.
moment because we went right at the moment, and this man felt so desperate to get this house, and we saw there was an issue, and he went forward with the purchase, and then he was
No, you
falling.
still go forward with the purchase. You escrow. You go forward, but let me can I
Yes, please,
some of
because
the-
there's a lot of lenders and titles
So-
and everything else got to
so
get all this escrow
when-
at the last minute. But
No,
see,
they don't have a choice anymore
Mhm.
because there's an escrow agreement in place now that and lenders, here's the thing. If I go to a walkthrough with my client, I am expecting that my home inspection sheet has been resolved. If not, and I verify with the agent, are you prepared for the walkthrough today? Are we finished doing all the work? Now, I probably have had my assistant check in with them twice to see if the work or the requests were done. If they're not done, I'm not asking the listing agent anything else anymore. I'm sorry, I'm not. When we show up at the house, my client is going to end up negotiating. Because here's the thing. If you and I try to be very clear, but I did not learn I did not learn from people that gave us too many chances to make mistakes.
How do you
And
handle this escrow at the?
I'm getting ready to let you. No, I'm going in. I just had one. I go in a house and something's not fixed. My client says, "Oh, do I still settle? Absolutely. Do you want the house? Yes or no? All the work that you've been through to get here. Do you want to go forward? Are you comfortable with this problem? Yeah. Can you help? No, I don't really make referrals to buyers. I don't want to get caught in that. But we can look through and we can figure that out together. Yes, I'm not a butthole, but I have learned lessons through the years that I've done this. So what I do tell them is, that's an easy fix. That's not hard. But on the other end, if the basement is leaking and it was dry locked and we didn't see it and it stormed the night before, and now we got water coming in through the brick and now the water stains are there, we're not settling for no couple $1,000s. We need a $10,000 to $15,000 escrow. We need something because you should have fixed it, told the truth, or
But that's
So-
so how does your title end up putting
Oh,
on the altar?
I call
at
my
the last
person
minute of the
easy.
listing?
Hey,
With your numbers have to
my title company, we got a problem here. I need an escrow agreement signed. Let me call the lender to see if we can still close. Call the lender. I called the lender. I said everything. He said I didn't know anything was wrong. I said, well, okay, I'll call you right back. I called them back. I said, are you comfortable moving forward? Yes or no? And then we deal with the issue with the other side. And then you can Google what a repair could possibly cost.
Mhm.
You could get an estimate of the things that are not done. But trust me, you're going to pay more than if you had done it yourself. You cannot go through, see, because I feel like it's a subtle way of getting over. Because if something didn't happen, then it wouldn't have come up. But God has a way of showing things to the surface. And that is how I operate with integrity. It does not matter that you were going to move the night before and your truck got stolen and your wife left you this morning. And all of that is I'm sad that happened. Maybe we can give you till 12. Okay, but after 2 o'clock, there's got to be a business line of let's take care of business.
Mhm.
So after 12, we gave you 2 hours. We gave you from this morning. We settled at 9. You can have until 12. After 12, it is hourly or something. We're gonna come up with something that's fair. Or if you don't think you will be out by tomorrow, we're gonna have to come up with something because we didn't do a rent back, hold over. We didn't do none of that. And if we had done that, and now I've had a holdover, and then they didn't hold over.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You understand? Like, no. These are issues. So these things, you put your foot in the sand at this point because I can't let my clients be taken advantage of in any way. And I'm not going to take advantage of anybody else's client. So if I can help them in a way and say, okay, we can work with them. You know, this is their husband left them a week ago in the middle of this transaction. Let's give them a day. You're still in your house, right? Okay. You're not moving until Saturday? Okay. Certain circumstances, we work with them, but you are not going to get over on the client, period. And I think that I'm very passionate about that because I've been through some hard stuff, seeing people go through real bad stuff. And you feel you have a heart for people after you go through a few things where, and people don't have the same heart that you have.
Everybody doesn't care.
They don't care. Like, the lady, I got my check. I'm ready to go. Yeah. Back home in her bedroom with her check, and it's not her house no more.
Right.
But you got to make it clear.
Two of the stingiest sellers ever. I hate to call them stingy, but I'm just going to be honest. I had a 22-year-old buyer with a son doing something nobody in her family here really did, which was purchase a house. It's not a high price point, but the house was very well maintained. It's an older home, but the mom who owned it left it to the twin sons who were older. These guys might have been 7.
I've been
This
there
young
too.
lady is 22. They would not give her $1 in closing costs, and the house paid for it because the mom had paid for it. So they were splitting proceeds. They would not give my buyer $1 toward closing costs.
So sometimes, let me say this. Sometimes, and not all the time, with an estate or with something like that, they have responsibilities that they know they got to meet. And
Well,
that
no, it wasn't
deadline
an
by
estate. The mom had been dead for years. It was their house.
Okay. I'm
They
just putting
something else in it.
something
these
else
guys just
out
said-
there, but and just to say, sometimes, but if they don't give 9 times out of 10, you just bless the child. You
Yeah.
understand?
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, you just be a blessing. Because here's the thing, it's gonna come back, and you'll get more clients from her.
This is how aggressive they were. The title did not have any documentation saying that the check needed to be split in half. They were twins. They raised saying, "What is this one check? We ain't going to no thing together. Split this down the middle," you know. And they're like, "Well, nobody told us to do that." And they're like, "We ain't leaving until you split the check," which they did.
Well, I mean, it should be like, really, the title company should have said, because they knew the circumstance, what
They split the thing.
what way are your proceeds gonna come? I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, some of
They
the
might
stuff
have
is
asked the
deep.
listing agent though. You know, a lot of times they will send us questions that probably are for our clients that
I'm
we
not
fill out
answering.
on that Qualia platform.
Okay. And then they fit. Then no, because here's the thing. My assistant will do the basic stuff. But here's the thing, it's confusing sometimes. You don't have all the answers. And as the agent, I refer them back to my client. I mean, I'll do the work. What we can do. The challenge that I have with a lot of these other things, these layers, everyone wants to take the blame off of them and literally pass it the buck so that you are now responsible for that information. And if you miss or do something wrong with that information, they have it documented that on this day you went in and you put this down because it was sent only to you, because you need a code to open up Qualia.
Right.
So for those things that are on there that don't pertain to me and my contractual obligation, I tell them they need to forward that to my client. And that's that. I think we had a great night.
I think so too.
if you guys have any questions, I mean, we are here. We all do real estate full time. We love what we do. We all have different personalities. I am not mean. I know it comes across that I'm curt a little bit. I'm not really. I just do business to keep down the confusion. I'm trying to be more direct these days
You have to.
because there's so much room for error or for you to get blamed,
Mhm.
and you have to be very clear in setting expectations.
Mhm.
So I think our next talk should be about expectations
Mhm.
because misunderstanding the expectation will lead you in a problem.
Correct.
And your client will then have not a problem, they have the problem as well because
Can we can one of our topics be about agents bad mouthing other agents?
Absolutely.
absolutely. I mean, like that don't have to. You're not asking me. I ain't in charge.
You the king.
We all here equal. I mean, we're here equal.
We are equal.
So I say this. We can talk about if y'all have any topics that y'all want to send, and Marcia is gonna set up a Facebook page for Beyond the Surface because we have one.
We do.
Yeah, but
haven't
we
done
just haven't done anything with
with
it. But
We have
put your questions that you might have on Instagram or on Beyond the Surface. Just, while y'all work out the logistics, I want to talk to the people.
Sorry.
Go ahead, we put-
So, reach out to any of us, or please do not post your questions in that only on this form. You can do it now or while we're on, but don't put it on the other pages because we might not see it and then you'll get upset. So I just want to be clear. We wanted to go on the Beyond the Surface page so that those questions can be dealt with and in an open forum. This also goes to YouTube and many other sources. So we want to keep the questions together and then we want to post them back into the portals that will control us answering them in a live format. We thank you for tuning in to us. I like this camera over here today. This one was a little high and hard for me to look. Hey y'all on that side. And we enjoyed you. We thank you. We hope you tune in again with us. Y'all see I done got a little smaller again. And we'll talk. We're gonna have a Beyond the Surface After Dark. That is when we talk about other topics. The After Dark, we'll be talking about bariatric
Well, it better
surgery.
be at 7 o'clock. What
Well,
time it get dark?
No. So
What time does it get dark?
it's after this show.
Oh.
It's not necessarily after dark, but that's what we called it because it was different topics. It was adult topics.
Time to go to bed. Like I'm joking.
That's why I said Beyond the Surface After Dark. You hear me? So we're gonna talk about bariatric stuff and lifing you issues. But those are bonus kind of series, and different people will speak. I told you guys that my ex-wife is gonna come on here with me. We're gonna talk about relationships, what you do, and this is a real topic. Like I was very transparent. What do you do when your fiance has now admitted to this is what I like and this is what I do? Do you continue on? What is the reason why you go on? Do you stop the relationship? When most women say out of their mind, I'm not messing with no man and not that all that used to be. But more and more, you hit on me and know the deal. So
I thought that was after dark.
After Dark, I'm giving a preview, girl. This is my commercial. Can I do a commercial or no?
Why can't you just do a commercial?
So I'll talk to you guys next week as to when that will be on. And that's it
Yes.
for today.
Good night.
Good night, everybody. We
Thanks for
enjoyed
tuning
you.
in.
Thank you.
guys.
All right.
And if I rambled a little bit, sorry. So sorry.